Happy Tuesday, beautiful souls, wherever you are on this phenomenal planet. It is time for Shift Your Thinking Tuesdays, where we transform our inner experience to a phenomenal outer experience for 13 minutes of our time, of our day. We do it together. Alas, I'm on. I just figured out how to do something really cool, which is stream live to IGTV. Shout out to Instagram. Make sure you drop in the comments, say hi, say hello, tag, repost, share, let somebody know that we are doing personal development, all positive vibes here. And shout out to the YouTube stream. We're there as well. Yay. So I see Kaysan Abdullah joined. Hello. I'm going to change my video layout real quick so I don't have this weird view happening. Like I said, we are a little bit late, but always on time. You know me. There's no such thing as late. It's not late. We're not ever late. We're just right on time. Let me see if I can see my YouTube folks on here. Not yet. However, we are on episode 83, and I'm just going to caption this one, Becoming. For those of you who are new, we are continuing our series from Dean Del Sesto's 200 Ways to Improve Our Lives, Shift Your Thinking. I did do a book giveaway last year. So you guessed it, 200 sections in this book. There will be 200 completed episodes at the end of this. Hey, Goof, 1207, my sister-in-law is on in the building. All right. Let me bring it down a notch. Like I said, I am trying this new feature out, which is I get to stream live on IGTV and YouTube and Facebook. And I'm so excited about it. Hey, Thomas. Hi, you guys. Hey, I see Reg 3744. All right. I see you guys on the IG. Must be because I'm starting at a different time. I'm normally on at 8:10. So let me caption this video real quick. Boom. This is Shift Your Thinking. I have to do it on the Facebook because I'm doing something different today. And this one is easy. I'm just calling this Becoming. Episode 83, Becoming. And you know, I am borrowing that, and I think I'll attribute that to First Lady Michelle Obama book. I have not had a chance to read it, but we know how it's doing a phenomenal job in sales and her book tour. And I think it's because easily we are consistently evolving beings. One thing that is consistent in life, that we don't remain the same. If you remain the same, I think you're dead. You've died. So I'm in the section, if you are following along and you have been following along, in where he says, do we see people for who they are or who they are becoming? The author says, I'm sure if you were to ask about your growth in life, you'd say you are a notably different person today than you were X years ago, and maybe even X months ago. And I say that all the time. I do reference that all the time in terms of growth. I know a different person that I was 2 weeks ago already. Why did I keep saying 2 weeks ago? I had made a decision in December to do something very different, and I'm working on that in this first quarter, and it is very different. It is going to be a very different experience that is going to impact my professional, my personal life within the next quarter and years to come. So Becoming. The author continues, he says, that's because people are dynamic and live in a constant state of transformation of character. Look, if you're not evolving, you're essentially like, my colleague likes to say, Hugh likes to say, then you have no speaking parts in the movie. You have no more speaking parts if there is no growth. Agree? We can agree to disagree. You have no more speaking parts. The other thing about growth is, I have to remember to share this actually on my timeline on Facebook. Let me go ahead and do that. Growth is the purpose, y'all. Growth is the purpose. Soul growth, soul growth. Because there's, we're lost without it. Okay, while that opens up, and I'll share it in a sec. He says, aside from rare cases, we generally get better with age, wiser and more generous. And I can hear some folks saying with an exception of a few folks, right? Because we do have people that we've experienced in our life that have been stagnant. Absolutely. They have not grown. And then it's like, yo, I can't rock with you because you're not growing. Contrary to the people that say, oh, I don't rock with you because you've changed. Yeah, damn Skippy, I've changed. I better be changing. I better be growing, evolving. Growth is the purpose, yo. So I always think that's funny when people, are ending relationships on the basis of change, but that also comes from a space where people are not being who they authentically are, right? In other words, they show their representative. We hear that a lot. People are showing their representatives. I think one of the things for me, as I reflect on the relationships that I have now, they say you have been consistent in who you are, right? I show up as, albeit I'm blunt, I'm disciplined, I am aggressive. That comes from the nature of my business. That comes from the nature of me being ambitious as well, goal oriented. Those things make me consistent. So there are certain things in your character traits, habits, where consistency does help, but it also is conducive, or I should say contributing to the growth that's happening in you. Contributing to the growth. All right, moving along. We're going to keep this short and sweet because I actually do have a meeting that I need to run to, and you all have things to do. And so make sure if you jump on now, catch the replay. It is archived on YouTube. Shout out to our radio podcast listeners on Spotify, Anchor FM, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, Breaker. I mean, we're all over on the radio podcast. And there has been an announcement that Spotify actually acquired Anchor FM, which now puts us, which I was already on Spotify, but the fact that the platform is now part of the Spotify family is only going to do tremendous things in the podcast world. And that for me is exciting. So for those of you who've been rocking with me from the beginning, when I jumped on podcasts, thank you for growing with me and the channel. And as we start to see these companies scale and do amazing things and allow creators like myself to bring messages to you, to the masses, and include transformation, some real estate growth, professional growth, also bring awareness to alternate pathways to success. There's so many different ways that we can succeed. You came here with a gift. And that's essentially what this whole platform, my platform, is always about, is reiterating that you came here with a gift. You don't have to do it my way. You don't have to do it like me. Do it like you. Put your spin on it, because your tribe, the people that you connect with, resonates with you, with who you are and how you do it. Not everybody watches Lisa. Not everybody vibes with Lisa. That's perfectly fine. That's how I know I'm doing my job. That's how I know. All right. So the author says, so why is it, he says, we look at others and judge them if we see things in their current way of being that go against our grain? You know, as I think about that, it's for us to do that, because it oftentimes people reflect three things in your life: your past, present, and future. So someone can come into your life and represent your past, where you go, I no longer do that. I remember when I used to, right? And that sense of judgment where you may project, and we have to be careful with being judgmental. Lisa, when I say you, I'm always reflecting and talking about talking to myself or speaking with myself. In the last episode, we talked about, in the last episode, we discussed and referred the difference between using the word talk and speak, talk to and speak with, in terms of empowering ourselves and the people that we're connecting with, right? Raising the frequency and the vibrations of the relationships in communication. In communication, we get more of what we want when we know how to say it. It's not necessarily all the time about what we're saying, but how to say it. He says, why do we place our biases, labels, and hypotheses on people based on who they are today rather than forego our assumptions and pessimism and see them for who they are becoming and maybe even help them along? Food for thought. This is what this is all about. Food for thought. Some people may say, you know what? I don't have the time and energy to raise adults. Perfectly fine, I would say, depending on where you are, because there is such a thing as energy vampires and people draining you. So definitely use discernment and be selective. Because if there is a sense of naivete that someone has where they just don't know, we don't know what we don't know until somebody holds up the mirror and says, maybe you should X, Y, and Z, and offer a loving suggestion. It's not what you say, but how you say it. You can offer loving suggestions in how you say it, rather than coming off authoritative, coming off like you're a know-it-all, coming off directive. Not what you say, but how you say it. And this is so in sync with the conversation I had with a business partner last night, where we were talking about how folks, albeit West Coast and East Coast, maybe ask for things, albeit in text messages, emails, or in verbally in expressing themselves. And we were I said, coming from Cali, being in LA, West Coast, we do things this way, versus East Coast may do it in a different way, in a different approach. And so I've also shared that, especially as a professional, if you are a professional, you should be, Lisa, aware of those cultural norms. Absolutely be aware of those things, because it impacts whether you get your deal closed, that contract signed to the next level with that person, because it's on whether you know how to interpret body language, you know how to interpret, and is body language have to do with the person, or does it have to do with how cultural expressions? As we talk about assumptions and biases and labels, because remember, the brain likes shortcuts. It does not have time to process all this extra information about people. It's going to do shortcuts. I need to know spot on when I'm looking at someone what I need to know about them. Is this person going to cause me love, strife, money, conflict? They're going to help me grow. Is this person for me? That's what the brain is looking to do, which is why we have stereotypes and labels, and the brain is acting that way. Our job is to rewire and reprogram it so that we know how to get through the shortcuts and categorize. This weekend, it's so funny, I had some great information, some great news happen, actually. Great news happened just yesterday, Monday. I got some great news, and it came at a time that I go through. So I consider it weird or not, I schedule times to cry because one, it's cathartic and we need to deal with our emotions. And, I was complimented by someone that said, my gosh, I need to be that way disciplined. So I schedule times for crying because I can be very driven. I can be very mom oriented, business oriented. I can, have all these to-dos. I mean, I map out my calendar. And as I can feel that I'm going through some changes, I have to allow myself to acknowledge that I'm going through some changes. And it does make me a little bit nervous, right? So I schedule time to cry. I journal. I've got some music. I've got an ambiance. I've got a whole thing set up to where I'm going to acknowledge those emotions in myself and then use it to transmute my energy to do something constructive and productive. So as I say this, becoming, right? Allowing ourselves to become step into that space. The author continues, he says, the main reason is that it's easier to dismiss people, agree, than to invest in them. Absolutely. We see this all the time. There aren't too many people that are passionate about youth work. I am one of them. Not everybody has a heart for that. Not everybody's passionate about dealing with pets, right? Or have a heart for pets and doing pet rescue. We each have a passion about something. And it's not being exclusionary, but it's just easier to dismiss people rather than invest in them. You know, that's why I think charities are so important. Nonprofits are so important because it creates a collective space for collective minds, like passion, to vest in something. And you're investing in people, albeit each other as a collective who have a passion for a mutual goal or project or mission. That's why there's a tax code set up for its benefit. I've said this before, get a better accountant if you haven't realized that nonprofits is the money that makes more money. All right, I'll continue. The author says, when we only see people for who they are today, especially when we don't like what we see, and I just shared about that, our attitude toward them exudes skepticism and indifference, all because we are stuck in the reality of what is now and not the possibility of what is to come. I have to say, you have to leave a level of discernment with this, because it's okay to see potential. Absolutely. There are tons of things that I'm doing and I just need one person to give me that opportunity, right? So I'm looking for that one person that sees the potential of the becoming, my evolution. How do I contribute to that I will scale, that I will get to that goal? Is that my traits, my characters have shown that I've been disciplined thus far. So it is discernment that you've got to look at this person and see the track record. Have they shown the traits to be disciplined, to do what it is that you are envisioning? The other thing in terms of relationship that I've learned, that I tend to be loyal to my detriment. Why? Because I am that optimistic, good-natured, loving, big heart, that I'm looking at someone's potential to the point that I will want to be committed to helping that person, even if they are not seeing it in themselves. So we have to be careful about that. I no longer am loyal to my detriment. I'm no longer loyal and committed to someone else's growth and potential if they themselves are not committed to it. I can't be more vested in it for you than you are for yourself. I won't do that. I love you and I won't do that. I lovingly say that I won't do that. All right, we're going to get ready to wrap this up because I got to go. So the author says, our attitude toward them exudes skepticism and indifference, all because we're stuck in the reality of what is now and not the possibility of what is to come. This posture not only creates relational dysfunction and breakdown. And I gave you an example of relational dysfunction, my relationship with myself, if I'm projecting into you on potential. So we are having to use a level of discernment when we are doing this. This posture, he says, it is self-centered and self-righteous stance that offers nothing to others as well as nothing to ourselves. That's why networking is so important. Relationships, relationship building. It's positioning yourself with the proper relationships, the appropriate relationships. That's why I go back to using the level of discernment, because you can be good-natured, have all this wonderful intention to be supportive in investing in someone's potential. However, the requirement of you, of self, Lisa, is to always be discerning. Always be discerning. We set standards that way. We set expectations. What are expectations? This becoming in my mind, I equate with change. I equate with evolution. The expectation is that you will continue to grow because you have shown a track record of growth. If you have a track record of stagnation, that is what you do. You're stagnant, you stay stuck. And I'm not saying you as in you, but the people in which we observe with those character traits, using discernment. He says, in contrast, when we see people in light of who they are becoming, they will know that we are on their side, that we see possibility in them. Absolutely. This is like when I take the moment and I say, have you heard I love you for this morning? I love you. Have you heard it yet? Have you been loved on this morning? Have you got your dose of love? I know, I it's so far apart to get it once a week from Shift Your Thinking Tuesdays and the tribe and the community that we've built here. I have been consistent in giving that, though. I give more of that. I get more of that. Give, receive. Give, receive. Receive and give, vice versa. And I've seen that. I've seen that from you guys sending me the messages saying I needed to hear that. I see that. So this is me seeing the potential in you. If you're rocking with me now on this platform, that's because you're vibrating at that frequency. Seeing potential. Mirror moments. We cover this all the time in various ways already on the past 82 episodes. This is 83. We're going strong. And he says the tangible effects of such support create rapport and trust that are rarely surpassed by other more traditional forms of encouragement. Absolutely. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. We hear this all the time. People do business and they work with people they know, like, and trust. How do we get there? In a very short time span. The brain ends up creating hypotheses, stereotypes, and labels, which means you should be doing more reconditioning of your own subconscious mind and conscious mind so that you can use that to your advantage for growth. For growth. Very easy. All right, y'all, that is my time. I got to jump in traffic real quick and head out, but I will drive safely. I trust this has proven some value. And the CTA for this week is actually use the level of discernment and choose one person this week that you want to love on for their potential. But it's going to require you to use discernment when you are choosing that person. You don't have to support. It may just be support one thing. It doesn't have to be everything. Just pick one thing in that person that you want to support, albeit resharing a post of theirs, sending encouraging words about their business idea. Your children, that one thing, take that moment to acknowledge that one thing they did good. Encourage that in them. A family member, a loved one, a spouse, a friend, your money. You can also share support because you are in a relationship with people, places, and things. You are here you're a spiritual being having this human experience, y'all. All right, y'all, that's my time. I love you, love you, love you. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, create a watch party on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel at LA Super Agent. I'm available on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at LA Super Agent. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll see you next week for a powerful, productive week and episode on Shift Your Thinking. Bye, guys.